말해줘. 뭔지 몰라 도대체 어떻게 그럴 수가 있나 이 세상에는 나보다 더 잘난 남자가 있다는 걸 알아.
Hey guys, welcome back to Check the Vending Machines, a weekly pop culture podcast on the internet. It's Black Friday weekend, Thanksgiving weekend.
Black Friday extravaganza.
Did you even get a chance to go
No.
Black Friday shopping?
No, not really. Well, this year there wasn't really a whole lot that I really have had my eye on this year, and also I had to work the morning of Black Friday anyways, so I was stuck at work until like 1 p.m. So by the time I got out, I was like, yeah, there's probably not that much good stuff actually left anyways. So
I know I had to work Thanksgiving night and Black Friday night.
Yeah.
So at that point, I'm just too tired to even like get up to go do anything. You know, I hate doing shit before work anyway, so there's like no way.
Yeah, I'm a much bigger person about doing stuff after work. I prefer that to like trying to get up or do something before actually heading in.
It just basically means that tomorrow is gonna be like all Cyber Monday.
Yeah. That's the big one for us, I guess, usually.
Well, even then, dude, the fucking Best Buy was having all their Blu-ray deals like 2 weeks ago. Like they already like applied to the store.
I saw that a lot of stores were actually, instead of like even like doing stuff like Thanksgiving Day or whatever, which a lot of stores were like closing down for Thanksgiving, which I mean I'm okay with because I don't really do shit on Thanksgiving anyways, but I saw that most of them had like started offering their deals like 2 or 3 weeks, even 3 weeks before Black Friday even happened.
I mean, fucking, I was in Best Buy probably maybe 3 weeks ago, beginning of the month, and yeah, they're having Blade 4K $10. And I was like, man, that's insane. And I think Best Buy has a
4K Wesley Snipes. Woo!
Yeah, I think they have a really really sick T2 Steelbook, and I hate steelbooks.
And they've got an interesting steelbook collection at Best Buy.
Well, it's even then. I don't care for steelbooks at all. If I have steelbooks, and it's not because I choose to get them. I usually don't realize they're steelbooks until I get them in person, like when I order them online. Like my Back to the Future 4K set is a steelbook set.
I actually really like steelbooks. I like the aesthetic of it.
I can't stand them, and I don't trust the packaging. Like my 4K Back to the Future set, I open it up and it's already broken. Like before I even got a chance to open it, it was already the glue at the back of the spine was already broken.
Damn.
But Best Buy has a really fucking nice T2 steelbook, even though the 4K transfer is like no one likes it. So that one, and they have a Ran, a Kurosawa Ran steelbook that's like fucking nice.
Okay.
So I was tempted to buy those, even though I don't want the T2 because I don't want that scan.
So what's wrong with the translation of it?
It's just ugly.
Yeah.
It's just a bad looking transfer. It's just a terrible transfer, and people were hoping that they would redo it for this nice steelbook, but they just took the same one they already did years ago for. You're gonna find T2 4K consistently, no matter what time of year, for $8, because it's so poorly reviewed that it's like no one's spending more than $8 on this piece of shit.
Okay, interesting. No, I hadn't heard about T2.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. Is there anything particular, man, you looking for on Black Friday? Are you buying anything for Cyber Monday?
No, not really. I mean, honestly, I don't have a whole lot of flexible income at this moment. It feels like that happens to me a lot around like Black Friday, Cyber Monday. I don't know what happens, but it seems like a lot of times my flexible income has usually disappeared in the couple weeks before then. I mean, now it's like I don't really have any because I'm saving a lot of stuff for like moving and whatnot, and I don't know what I'm going to need to buy when I get to my new place, so I just don't really have a lot of things that would overwrite my desire to save a little bit of money in my moves. So
Yeah, I get that.
no, I mean there was one thing that I saw. It's not like a Black Friday thing. I just saw it when I turned in a lot of my old um, books and some of my old Blu-rays and DVDs that I didn't want anymore to one of our local used bookstores that is kind of like a Mr. K's. But I went there and they had a small Criterion collection at Blu-rays and they had a Silence of the Lambs one. And I was like, I kind of want to get this. Because I don't know if I told you, because we haven't done a wrap-up episode in so long, but I say recently, I think this happened in like fucking September or some shit. But I watched the Silence of the Lambs and the Hannibal movie. And
Yeah, I think we talked about
I
it.
really like Silence of the Lambs.
Well, because I remember on the podcast telling you need to watch Manhunter.
I do remember that, yeah, with
Yeah,
Brett
because
from CSI.
Yeah, and then 'cause I remember telling you that like just coincidentally, I was reading Red Dragon around the same time.
That's what it was. I think I brought it up because you talked about you reading Red Dragon. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I was saying, how Manhunter versus the movie Red Dragon,
Mhm.
like they're both really good, but I prefer Manhunter because it's Michael Mann.
Yeah.
And it's like super 80s versus the Red Dragon, Edward Norton,
Right.
which is a great movie. Silence of
Ray
the Lambs,
Fiennes
man.
is the Red Dragon in that, right?
I think so.
I think
I'm pretty sure.
It feels right.
Or Tooth Fairy or whatever the monster, the serial killer's name is. I think Tooth Fairy. I think.
Yeah, I think it is. Ray Fiennes. Yeah, I think it's him. Yeah, it's him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Speaking of him, though, we'll see him in a few weeks.
Yeah, we will.
But hey, man, we're here, and you would assume that we would be starting The Matrix.
Well, this is a
That way we
busy.
can prepare.
December's a busy month for us, Jason. We got a couple of big
It
bangers
is.
coming out, and in the lead out to two of those bangers, we decided to start with. I actually don't know. I guess we wanted it because we wanted the direct lead up to the one we're gonna watch first happen.
Yeah.
So we are doing our initial ramp up to the KINGSMAN next month, starting with the 2014 original Kingsman: The Secret Service by Matthew Vaughn.
Yeah. I'm also surprised to hear that it's 2014.
Yeah, I was surprised when I looked it up and I was like, it felt like a 2015, 2016 movie, but I think that's when the second one came out. I think the second one was like 2017.
It just feels weird that movies that came out in 2014 even exist. Like it doesn't feel like that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But that's almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's 8 years, almost 8 years now.
Yeah, and that's crazy to me. To think that time has flown by that fast.
Yeah.
Well,
especially for like Taron Egerton, because he started this movie, he was basically a nobody, and now he's like, I mean, he's not like huge,
Yeah,
but I mean, he's been Elton John, and he's been in a bunch of other pretty decently high profile movies. So. Robin Hood.
Robin Hood, Eddie the Eagle. I know that when this movie was coming out, I knew it was a Mark Millar.
Yeah.
Mark Millar. I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Miller.
Is it?
But
I've always heard it Millar, but it probably.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure it's like a Irish or Scottish. I don't know where he's from. One of those places, Irish or Scotland. I can't remember which one. But I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Miller, just spelled Millar.
Okay.
But I always end up saying one or the other every other time I say
Yeah.
it. But Miller World, whatever. I knew that it was a comic book that he wrote, The Secret Service. Because I'm a huge fan of his stuff.
Yeah.
Because he is like the master of, I'm going to give you a 6-issue mini, and then I'm out.
Yeah.
6 issues, boom, next thing.
Yeah, he's very good about having a distinct story that he wants to tell, and he tells that story, and he's like, all right, I'm done now.
And then, and I just never read Kingsman or Secret Service. I never read it until like maybe a year after I watched the movie. But I read everything else he was doing, You know, obviously the big one that everyone, if you're a comic book fan, at
Kick-Ass.
least back then, I never read
Oh, you
Kick-Ass.
didn't?
No, it was Civil War.
Oh yeah, Civil War. Yeah.
Civil War was what. Okay, I get this guy, and I'm drawn into his storytelling, and then I went back and read old stuff, and he reminded me of. We talked about this before in the podcast, but I'm gonna bring it up again. All the things about Garth Ennis that I like,
Mm-hmm.
Mark Millar does also. Extreme
Yeah.
brutality, cool action sequences, but I think better action sequences. And I think that Mark Millar, and they're very different writers, so I'm not trying to like compare the two as though they're similar. They're very different.
Yeah, I get the comparison though, because I think yeah, definitely what you've pointed out is they have definitely a lot of similar tropes in both of their work. They're both heavy on the. I think they're both really big on taking the tropes of a certain genre and flipping them on their head. They usually like ramp the maturity up, and they're all usually also really about the brutality.
It's just the big difference that Mark Millar loves
Yeah,
superheroes versus Garth Ennis
yeah,
hating superheroes. But you know, even with Secret Service, um, having not read the book first, the comic series first, so I went into the movie thinking, okay, I know it's based on a comic book.
Mhm.
I don't really know any of these people except for Samuel L. Jackson, obviously, and I
Yeah.
know Colin
Colin Firth.
Firth, the girl with the blade legs.
Mm-hmm.
I knew her later
Yeah,
because of Star Trek, and that's kind of it. I feel like I don't think there's anyone else. Oh, Mark Strong.
yeah. Mark Strong is probably the other big one.
But even him, I don't know him either. I don't know where I know him from.
I know him. He was in.
Was he a Guy Ritchie guy?
I'm pretty sure he is.
Is he a
Wasn't
Guy
he in
Ritchie
like
person?
Sherlock Holmes?
Yes, he plays one of the
He's the
bad
bad
guys,
guy in the
right?
first movie, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's in
Yeah.
Sherlock Holmes. I think he was in some other stuff too. But I definitely recognize him from like like Guy Ritchie stuff.
So I was, but the trailers, man, just for the movie just looked so
Mhm.
fun. They reminded me, they gave me the vibe of like, okay, here's what James Bond would be if it was on like acid.
Yeah.
And it was like it was James Bond, but it was an 80s action
Hmm.
movie, and that sold me right
Yeah.
away. Even without having any sort of knowledge of what the book was supposed to be or what the story was going to be. What about you? Do you remember when you first was seeing Kingsman stuff?
I remember definitely the trailers looked fun. I can't remember specifically what the trailers like the style of them, but I definitely remember that like because I think that was like the beginning of our podcast when Kingsman came out. I think it was pretty early in there.
Probably around there, yeah.
But I know I definitely remember watching the trailers, and the trailers looked super fun, and they had that really good like. It felt like even in the trailers they were getting off the satirical spy vibe, which I always kind of enjoyed, and I mean that's super heavy in the movie too. But yeah, I just remember it had like a very good energy about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's how when I think back on the movie,
Hmm.
both of them really, but just particular thinking of the first
Yeah.
movie. When I think back on it, um, before I rewatched it,
Hmm.
all I think of like only positives.
Yeah.
I can't even think of negatives. And then when I watched the movie, I was like, okay, there are definitely some like dumb things here,
Hmm.
which are Mark Millar things, like dumb, like little stupid things here and the quips here and there that kind of don't really land for me.
Mm.
But overall, when I finished watching the movie again, probably for the third or fourth time, um, I ended up just having a really, really fun time.
Yeah, I think this is about the third time for me watching it too. And yeah, I mean that's the exact same thought I got out of watching it. Like the credits rolled and I was like this is just like a fucking fun movie.
Yeah, and it's one of those movies where like I feel like when we complain about, or when I complain about not making that mid tier action movie
Yeah.
anymore, this is kind of that vibe
It definitely does
that
kind of
like I
give that
get.
like which is I mean it's not because it's like a high budget movie, but it definitely gives like that B action movie type of vibe to it for sure.
Yeah, like if they took away some of the Steadicam shit or whatever they're doing.
That fucking
like the church
fake
scene.
oneer, yeah.
Yeah, and they made it like look worse. This could be a video store action flick. With the concept and everything about it,
Yeah.
but so let's start at the beginning, man.
Okay.
Because I think the concept as a whole is cooler than James Bond.
I think it's super solid, and I like the fact that there's the emphasis on it where it's like this is a secret society of super spies, like outside the normal secret society of super spies. Like it's like the agents that are above other agencies, like the true independency. I like that a lot.
I really really like the concept of yes, we're just super posh, we're super gentlemen and like gentle ladies or whatever, ladylike. So that's all tied into the whole atmosphere. It's like, why would you be the idea of like being well dressed but also having to be a savage at the same time? Something about that like stupid paradox works really well when you have someone like Colin Firth who's like, I would never have pictured him to do an action movie.
And then he has like one of the best action scenes in like the past 10 years.
It's a great scene. It's the same thing with the new one coming out. Like they keep getting these people who I don't expect to do action flicks to go full Liam Neeson. And the idea of the movie, of the first one, is pretty much like his dad was a Kingsman. His dad dies.
His dad was
on
a
duty.
Kingsman trainee, and he basically made it to the final. And basically, Colin Firth caused his dad's death because he missed something while searching over a prisoner that basically caused the Eggy's dad to die. Yeah. And so it's all the whole movie is about him trying to make up for the fact that he caused Eggy's dad's death.
But then we don't see that Eggsy, right?
Eggsy, sorry, not Eggy.
That Eggsy also goes through before the movie even starts. He also goes through layers of Kingsman training.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things that I picked up a lot was they talked about the fact that like he was really good at school, but he also ended up, his mom ended up like dating this fucking piece of shit like 2-bit mobster, and that basically like forced him into like the drugs and petty crime type of life. He tried to join the military to get away from it, and then his mom. So this is the other thing, which is that Eggsy is like a street kid. So he's talking to Colin Firth in the beginning when he's talking about they're going the back and forth about his past, and he talks about him leaving the military, and you kind of make it. It kind of felt to me like rewatching it where it was like, is he lying about his mom going mental because he doesn't want to like admit that he gave up on being in the military, or is it just like, because I could also just see his mom from like what we know of her character just like going mental and being like, you're gonna die on me just like your dad did. I can see it either way.
And to me, it was a smart way to do it. I don't remember how the comic book does it. Of like, hey, by the way, he's not starting from zero. Like he has, well, you can say genetics, whatever, but 2, he has training. Yeah, like he's not coming from zero.
He's a smart kid. He joined the military. Like he has a basic amount of, I guess it was, they said Marines. I'm assuming it's like the UK, like Royal Marines or something like that. I don't know exactly what
I assume
what level of training that specializes in the UK military, but
some sort of firearm combat, basic training. Yeah. So he's not coming at the Kingsman program like as though he's a zero to hero.
He's not actually a street kid like they like kind of portray him as.
It's like this image that he's adopted to survive or whatever to mask whatever he is.
That drip he's got is fucking fly, dude.
It's so funny to me too, like how whenever I look at the pictures of him or in the streetwear, it's so funny to me how different the UK version of a street kid fashion is versus an American street kid fashion. Like to me, that idea of what he wears is like 1985. Yeah, like Adidas tracksuit, which is still apparently I guess popular there. I don't know. But then I'm watching Hawkeye right now. and there's a Russian mafia, and all they do is wear Adidas
Hell yeah,
tracksuits.
baby.
How do you feel about Taron Egerton as the lead, though?
I like him a lot. I think he's really solid in this movie. I think he does a good job of portraying that like street character with the major chip on his shoulder about the aristocracy and the people that he basically perceives as being given like a leg up in life. And I think they do a really good job in this movie, not just with him, but with in general of like portraying the like the haves versus the have-nots is like a big part of this movie.
Yeah.
And the plotting of it, not just like, you know, in the way that Samuel L. Jackson does his whole plot, but also just like throughout Eggsy's whole training of the Kingsman is like basically him on the outside as like this street punk going up against these like posh British aristocrat kids who I all want to punch in the face.
I honestly didn't understand either. Like, why would you only pull from that pool of people?
Yeah, it seems very strange. I mean, I guess my thinking of it in watching the movie is that it's supposed to be like it makes it feel like, especially when they talk about how like the whole organization was founded as basically built off like the backs of like, you know, that rich aristocracy class who all lost their heirs in World War One, and so it's all based on like that prestige aspect to it. And I mean, the way the whole Kingsman is set up is like basically it's a Knights of the Round Table type of thing. So I guess that also comes with that prestige too of like, you know, if you're a Kingsman, you're basically like a lord or a lady of, you know, whatever your spy domain is.
I wonder how Eggsy's dad.
Well, they talk
May
about
have
that
been.
with Colin Firth, because Colin Firth recruited Eggsy's dad, and that was like their first attempt at trying to get a streetwise
person.
punk was Eggsy's dad. So I guess he had a similar type of upbringing to Eggsy, or at least
Right.
he just wasn't an aristocrat. So
Yeah. When I was rewatching this movie, and even every time I watched the movie, 'cause I didn't see it in theaters. I saw it after, on home video. Which, by the way, no one calls it home video anymore. I feel like it's like us growing up with fucking Disney commercials in VHS tapes being like
coming soon to DVD.
now coming soon to home video or coming soon from the vault. On home release, I just feel like this like the inverse of John Wick, where it's like the final test of the Kingsman exam is like to like kill the dog, like the inverse of John Wick.
Dude, and that's like the writing in this movie is like so fucking on point too. Just so many like different like twists and turns. Like all the whole scene with Colin Firth explaining the Eggsy refused to kill his dog, and Colin Firth like shows this stuffed dog, and he's like, "Yeah, I stuffed my dog," and he's like, "You fucking shot your dog and stuffed him?" And he's like, "Yeah, I shot him, and then he lived for 12 years because it's not actually a real bullet. It's a test like everything else in the King's training was. It's always a test."
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. That's my one kind of big gripe with the movie is that we go right into the traditional action flick idea where like the main character has to lose to come back to reclaim and rise. But when that happens, Kingsman gets destroyed.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like we don't get to see him like kind of succeed because by movie 2, have you seen movie 2 yet?
No, I actually haven't seen movie 2.
Okay, so I won't say anything, but even it's not really a spoiler, but even by movie 2, it's like we don't really see the heyday of Kingsman, and we never really get to because even when we see now we're waiting for Kingsman, well, the heyday Kingsman that's not that because that's the beginning of it.
This is all them starting out the whole organization. So
I just felt kind of let down not to be able to not at least have a moment of like Eggsy like walking through Kingsman headquarters like as a full-fledged Kingsman versus like, oh no, I'm here but everyone's dead.
Yeah, it's a weird part about well, this is the other thing I don't understand, and I guess maybe the second movie explains it a little bit more, but I mean you get to the end of the first movie and you basically figured out that the King Arthur of the Kingsmen is a piece of shit, played by Michael Caine, who decides that he's going to sell out everybody. But this is the thing. Was it all of the other Kingsmen as well, or was it just Michael Caine that sold them out?
I didn't catch it either.
Because I
Honestly.
mean, I know that Mark Strong has the line where like they don't know who they can trust, but it's never brought up again if like anybody else betrayed them. I feel like it wouldn't be because the way Sam Jackson has been doing stuff so far is he basically just takes like the top dog of whatever organization.
Yeah.
And like obviously he takes well, I don't know, because then he's got the list and it's like, it's not just the Queen of England, it's like all these other dukes and duchesses as well. So I guess it could have been more than just Michael Caine. They also don't explain at all how the fuck Sam Jackson like meets up with Michael Caine and like gives him the
Yeah.
shit. I don't there's a couple of like mini plot holes like that. It's also weird to me that Eggsy going through all of the training and all of like the tests and like showmanship that they've shown in the Kingsman as far as like all of these tests are concerned for getting the job. I don't know why he wouldn't go into the dog thing and be like, they're testing me again. Because they already had that shit with the train tracks shit where he thought he was going to die and he didn't give it up. And then they show him that like, oh, it's just a test. Like, we're not really going to kill anybody because it's kind of a bad guy thing.
Or you just like.
So I don't know why he suddenly has this epiphany that like they're actually going to make me kill this dog. I don't know.
Or you just like take the magazine out, look at the bullet.
I guess that too, but I guess that would defeat the purpose of the test, and they'd probably be like, "Oh, you
don't hey, you always gotta check your firearms before. You don't want to Alec Baldwin this.
Well, that's true.
You gotta make sure the thing's legit or whatever before you start pulling triggers.
I mean, I guess that probably goes into the whole loyalty to the thing where you would just trust that they gave you a loaded pistol, but.
Oh, that worked out well for Kingsman.
Well, yeah.
All the loyalty. I do want to say though about Taron Egerton. I thought after this movie came out that he was gonna blow the fuck up.
Yeah, I thought so too. He's had a couple big roles,
remember at the same,
like I said at the beginning, but he hasn't really blown
up.
At
the same time, like it was like him or Charlie Hunnam were like the two I kept thinking of, like two British guys, different in age, but they were both really popular, getting a lot of these movies.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Charlie Hunnam had Sons of Anarchy,
yeah.
but then he had the Guy Ritchie movie, all this kind of shit.
Pacific Rim,
Pac Rim, I'm like, dude, like they're both great, but when I watch Kingsman and I see like the Eddie Eagle movie and I see all this other shit that Taron Egerton does, Elton John, I'm like, this guy fucking can do it all.
Yeah.
This dude has everything.
He slaps.
So I'm not sure why I don't know why we're not just people aren't just throwing at him like every fucking movie.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he just can't do like a good. Well, no, he does. Well, no, I don't know. I haven't watched Eddie Eagle. Can he do an American accent?
I think that's Australian.
Oh, is it? So maybe he just can't do a good American accent, and maybe that's why they haven't put him in a lot of shit.
Shit, make him British then. Just change it real fast. Boom, British.
Yeah.
He's so good in this movie, and for what it to me, this movie reminds me of like it has such like spoof energy.
Yeah.
But not taken like in a negative way. Like it's like spoofy, but like in an homage way. And we talked about this before actually about Matthew Vaughn. Him being so close to Guy Ritchie.
Yeah.
And him, I'm pretty sure was he the producer or was he the DP on Layer Cake? Or he directed Layer Cake, but he was a producer on Guy Ritchie stuff, I thought.
I can't remember.
He wrote Guy Ritchie movies.
I don't know if we talked about that before.
They know each other.
It. Hold on.
Either he's a producer or was a DP or a writer. He did something with Guy Ritchie.
Huh. He produced Layer Cake.
Who directed Layer
He
Cake?
produced Snatch. And he
produced Snatch.
Produced The Lock, Stock. He produced a lot of Guy Ritchie stuff too.
Okay, so they know each other. Because when I watched Kingsman,
he directed Layer Cake as well.
He directed Layer Cake, right? So when I watched Kingsman, I like see like hyped up Guy Ritchie pacing. The humor is not there, but not the British stuff. But like in terms of like the editing style, that I pretty much give credit to Guy Ritchie and Edgar Wright, are the two people I think about when I think about this, like that kind of editing. and the way that they shot these fight sequences, which I give props to for for the most part being very enjoyable fight sequences.
Mhm.
I definitely do have some issues here and there, but for the most part, I'm impressed with how they shot them. Especially the church scene.
Yeah.
They kept it on a nice distance, and I don't know how they were who did the choreography or how they did it, but it looked
It
good.
looks really good.
It looked really good. I didn't have any qualms with like issues with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the church scene's good. I think the initial scene with the Galahad, or no, Lancelot, when he tries to rescue Mark Hamill, that's a really good action scene as well. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of really good ones in there, and I enjoy them quite a bit. All the stuff with Gazelle too. I love her as like the Bond-esque sidekick villain. I think
Yeah,
that's
like the anti-Bond
yeah,
girl.
the anti-Bond girl. I love her. That design is like the head honcho henchman.
Yeah, it's just a weird thing too. Like we wouldn't expect that to be the design.
Yeah, with like
That's the
the
way.
prosthetic blade legs. Like that shit is it's
You know, even next week when you watch Golden Circle,
mhm,
there's like some really awesome kills in that movie.
mhm.
And like I remember watching that movie and finishing and being like, and even with this one with the church sequence and stuff, but I remember finishing the movies and being like, this is like Mortal Kombat, like action. They take Mortal Kombat, they take these spy movies. What's Michael Caine's spy movie called?
Harry Brown,
Shit, is that what it
isn't
is?
it?
I don't think it's Brown, but it's Harry something.
Michael Caine.
It's a Len Denton book, Len Drayton book.
Can't remember what it is.
Harry Palmer.
Harry. Hold on. Is it not Harry? What the fuck? Hold on.
Something Palmer then. Just search Michael Caine spy movie.
Oh, is this the wrong Michael Caine? What the fuck? Is there two different
Michael
Caine?
Caine spy movies 60s.
Michael Caine's spy movie. God damn it. Spy movie. Oh, I was thinking of a later one.
No, these are like the OG ones right here.
Hmm. The Whistleblower?
What's it called though? The character's name?
Look, Harry Palmer.
Oh, okay, I
Looks
was right
like.
then. Okay, cool. Yeah, and these movies are like it's so cool to me to have him like tie back into these because those movies are all that trilogy of movies is also like sexploitation-y, like 60s, like spy, like we're gonna rip off spy flicks and make them all goofy, and they're great, like campy-ish. I don't know if I want to use the word campy, but they're great movies.
Mhm.
So it's cool to have him come back to do this stupid ass fucking spoofy ass spy movie. Um, I don't think nothing really stands out to me as being a super duper negative. Everything I think about the movie, even rewatching it, is just like it's just a fun action movie with a really stupid plot, but a really cool, a really inventive
Bad guy idea?
weapon.
Yeah.
Like bad guy weapon. That's a really inventive idea.
It's an interesting way, and it also makes sense specifically with the bad guy's character, where his whole thing is being against violence, so he's all hands off about anything, and what's more hands off than making people kill each other?
Yeah, and honestly, when I went into the movie the first time,
Yeah.
I always am kind of in this zone, and definitely not now, thankfully, but especially at this time period, which was like I had too much Samuel L. Jackson.
He was in a lot of
He's-
shit all the time.
He was in everything all the
Yeah.
time. But in this movie, I was like, okay, we're going this movie. He's gonna be fucking annoying. Ugh, and he's not.
No, I like his character a lot.
He's
and
perfectly
I think it's
fine.
not. I think it's because he's not just being Sam Jackson.
Yeah, he's like actually has a
Like he's
quirks
not
and,
a
like, little-
badass like Sam Jackson characters normally are. Like he's supposed to be like a nerdy tech billionaire who vomits at the sight of blood and
Yeah.
has V glasses.
Right, and he has little quirks that he built into the character. He's not just
He likes
typical
Mickey
Sam
D's
Jackson.
and wearing fucking flat bill hats.
Right. And I think that's like so fucking stupid. Even that's like fucking so dumb that an old man would be doing that, or a middle-aged guy would be dressing like that. Um, but I think the highlights for me really are that trio of Kingsman
Yeah.
characters. That trio, because the girl I don't care about, any of the guys, the guy I don't care
Yeah.
about, but just I don't even know their names. What's Colin Firth's character's name?
He's Galahad, I think.
So him, XZ, and then whatever Mark Strong's character name is. I
Merlin.
can't remember his name either. Those guys, that whole trio, even in Kingsman 2, that the chemistry is really really good in the next movie. And next movie we get Channing Tatum and we get Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, I was about to say we get American Kingsman, right?
Yeah, and we don't get enough of it, honestly. So you don't go into it expecting to see a lot of it.
Because Jeff Bridges is supposed to be the head of that, right?
Yes, I believe
Yeah.
so. Yes, and you don't see a lot of it though, which is kind of a bummer.
That's annoying.
But it is cool though.
Especially because I feel like that was one of the things that they like super hyped up a lot leading into Kingsman 2, where they were like, "It's the American Kingsman, baby, with a whiskey drinking cowboys." Woo woo.
Yeah, and I was going into it thinking that, and it's definitely not. But we'll talk about that next week, I guess.
All
But
right.
yeah, the big things that stand out to me about Kingsman are the fact that the action sequences and choreography are really well done, even though they're still they're not pulled out Hong Kong fight sequences, but they're like we're doing it with actors
Not Gareth Evans doing the raid, but
right, and they're not martial artists doing the fight scenes, but you can tell that there's at least practice in the choreography, and you can tell that they're shooting it in a way that it's still coherent enough for an action movie fan or a person to watch it and know what's going on.
and that's
honestly we're not borning
super
it.
surprising, especially with the church scene, because it's such a chaotic thing that you could easily have been fucked up and been discombobulating where you don't know what's going on.
They could have chose to shoot that sequence with right over the shoulder or hard cut, fast. They could have did that. Instead, they like slowed everything down, took it wide, like pinpointed like the gun at points, and so everything was super crystal clear that you're seeing him bob and weave through the crowd.
And you get Leonard Skinner over it the whole time. Woo!
Yeah, and that to me is like a really smart choice because everything that we see for the trailers in the KINGSMAN look very similar. Like they're taking the approach to action the same way, if not the same way as Gareth would, but they're like they're doing it better than you would see it with like a Marvel movie, at least from what I'm seeing. Because like I said, I'm watching Hawkeye right now, and it is bad.
It's not good.
The show is fine,
but the action's not good.
The action's bad.
Well, that's disappointing because I feel like that's got to be the main thing with a Hawkeye movie specifically, because it's not about like the crazy bombastic powers, because Hawkeye doesn't have that. Like he shoots a bow and arrow, so.
And there's cool. It's only 2 episodes out, and there's cool arrow shit.
Yeah.
But with Kate Bishop and Haley Steinfeld, it's so like there's a scene where she puts on the running costume. I go, and stunt double, and here we go, and stunt double, and all that kind of stuff, and take it off, and then put it back on. That's the stunt double, doing that Hurricane Rana, and like I get that's called smart. That's called smart working. I get it, but it's very clear when you see the actress walk or run, and I kept being like, that's the most unathletic run I have ever seen, and you would think that I'm going to believe that she can do any of this shit. Like it was so like awkward looking, but then you have like fight sequences where Hawkeye's at a LARPing event.
Okay.
And he's like has to like LARP and like fight a bunch of people who are LARPing as a LARPer.
Okay.
And they pull the camera back wide, and you see this Hawkeye is in slow mo, like just like beating down everyone, and like that to me is like, okay, they're perfect. They're taking the time. They don't have to worry about it being super tight knit because it's a LARP event. People they're gonna purposely look bad, and then Hawkeye's just gonna be so advanced that whatever. But with Kingsman, I don't know how long they trained or if they had time or what, but they at least shot it the way to not make it super duper confusing and overblown to where you're missing out on where did this person's arm go, where did this person's leg go, which is my number one gripe with any sort of Hollywood produced action flick that doesn't involve Arnold or, John Jay. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there, and I think the action in this is some of the top notch outside of like the legitimate like martial arts movies.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Well, Zach, is there anything else you want to mention or add to Kingsman before we move to next week for the Golden Circle?
No, I think this is one of those movies where there's not much more to elaborate on because it's just really good. It's just a solid movie. It's a fun watch. If you haven't taken the time to watch it, I don't know what you're waiting on because it's just a good time. It's a good way to spend 2 hours.
And the plot is so basic that there's no point in even going like to be like, oh man, because if we even hint at like anything, it just ruins the plot. If you care about that kind of stuff, I don't give a shit. I care about action, but like in general, both movies. The second movie has a bigger whoa.
Oh, like
but even then, it's kind of like okay, I could see that.
Yeah, I mean with this movie, there's not any two moments in plot wise that are like whoa. A lot of the whoa moments in this are just like subverting the typical spy genre tropes. Like how Matthew Vaughn kind of turns those on its head. But that's not anything specifically in the plot. That's just like stuff that you would expect to happen. And he's like, gotcha, bitch. So.
Yeah. And I do want to end with this. My favorite fight scene in the movie is the bar fight.
Dude, both the bar fight. Well, I guess not both of them because you don't really see the second one. But that first bar fight is really solid. Really
good. And to me, that's the thing that this movie does really well. Matthew Vaughn does really well in these movies. Is that you have a general idea about Kingsman, you have a general idea about who Colin Firth is, but in one fight sequence, and this is Hong Kong shit, we're going to tell the whole story of this person. So he's going to give you some dialogue beforehand. You're going to get a little bit of glimpse of the person's personality and character. He locks the door and then proceeds to tell the story about himself and the training that he has to show Eggsy that, hey, by the way, you think you have it, you're not there yet, but you can get this. I'm going to show you what you can get, which is a single-handedly beat 5 or 6 guys at a bar and to not be worried about it. So then we have that, and we call that back. We have that fight scene there, and that calls back to the church fight scene, and then now you're not surprised as to why he's destroying a bunch of random regular people in a church with a gun. So it's like even that parallel decision making is really, really smart. And this is a fucking action movie. And I see shit in a fucking Marvel movie, I go, this is terrible. Yeah. This is fucking terrible. And obviously Matthew Vaughn can make good movies. Layer Cake's a great movie. He did, was it Rise or he did War, Planet of the Apes? Did he do one of those movies?
I think he did.
I think he did War.
Rise? No, which one's the second one? He did the second one. Wait, hold on.
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes? Did he do one of those?
Is that him or is that somebody else? No, he didn't do a Planet. Who did? Hold on. War of the Planet of the Apes. That was Matthew Reeves.
He did. Matthew Reeves. He did Kick-Asses is what he did.
Yeah, because Matthew Reeves is doing the Batman.
Yeah, he did Kick-Ass is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Which I haven't seen.
And he did X-Men, so he did that.
He did First Class, right? So yeah. So even then, coming to the directing game later in life, dude has it on point. The best part about directors like Matt Vaughn are the same things I feel about Ty Sheridan.
Okay.
Like these guys just fucking like come to it later, and they just crush it.
Yeah.
For the most part, at least, just crushing it for the most part.
What's the not most part with either one of them?
Well, I mean, X-Men's fine.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
It's
guess
not,
that'd
not
probably be
great.
one of his weaker movies.
Yeah, and people love Kick-Ass. I haven't seen it. People love
Yeah, I
it.
haven't seen it either, but
And you think I would see it because of Nicolas Cage, but I just haven't.
yeah, because Jim Carrey's in the second one. That's right.
And then Sheridan, I didn't care about what's it called, Wind River.
Dude, that makes me sad. I love Wind River. That's one of my favorite movies. Hit. That's such a fucking good movie.
I thought it was fine, but I think he writes better movies like fucking Sicario. Like the fact that he wrote Sicarios, like he's a great writer at that cerebral, tension filled stuff.
Taylor Sheridan.
And
Ty Sheridan's a different guy.
Okay,
That's
Taylor,
Cyclops.
Cyclops.
Isn't that Tusk? I'm pretty sure that's Cyclops. Like first, like
I don't know. He's a mud, right?
yeah.
Mm.
In Ready Player
One
One,
of those
he's the
one of those nights where I'm getting all the names wrong.
yeah.
I'm usually really great at names too. No, but him and fucking he did Yellowstone. He did Yellowstone apparently.
Mhm.
I haven't watched that yet, but apparently it's really fucking good.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I wanted to watch Yellowstone because that's got who's it? Oh, Kevin Costner. Yeah,
Kevin Costner.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, that's what I call an easygoing
Ooh.
review
Mhm.
of Kingsman. We'll be back next week with Golden Circle.
Yes.
After that, we begin the
real lead
the
up,
real one,
ramp up, if
the
you will.
the real one,
The real one.
the real one. That's it. That's the Matrix.
Woo!
And I think we have to carve out 4 hours.
For Matrix 1, probably.
Just the Matrix alone. We're gonna go frame by frame.
We're gonna watch the movie with you guys.
We're gonna do a commentary, and then we're gonna do an 2 hour long breakdown after. But what happens is, I guarantee I have to set aside at least 30 minutes for Dragula.
Yeah.
Just to talk about how important it is
Of course,
to the movie.
we have to. We have to talk about that. We have to talk about why we have to consistently go to dive bars to live like we are Keanu Reeves listening to Dragula. We need to talk about
honestly,
how we should always follow white rabbits wherever they show up.
And honestly, if in Resurrections,
Resurrection, I just thought. I thought it was just Resurrection. Revelations? I can't remember what it's called now.
Reloaded.
Revolution.
Revelation.
Resurrections.
Revolution. Resurrection.
It is plural.
So, in Matrix 4.
I feel like that's just easier. Just do Matrix.
Yeah, and Matrix 4, in ID4, there has to be just a hint of Dragula.
Dragula specifically, or just Rob Zombie?
No, Dragula.
All right.
It doesn't have to be a lot. It could be Neo like walking down the rainy street going to his apartment, and he's passing by a club, and this from the outside, you just hear and you just hear that, and then he looks at the fucking club. There's a rabbit there, and he goes,
"Not
crazy
today,
kids." And then he goes back to his apartment, and that's all we need. And sure, so most people probably won't get it, but I will.
But for the people in the know, they'll get it.
People that understand how important that thing. And honestly, I have that record on vinyl. So the day of, I'm going to send you an Instagram or a video of me listening to Dragula on vinyl, loading up Matrix 4. And honestly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch the whole movie and be like, hey, did you watch the movie yet? And you're going to be like, yes or no. And then when you say yes, I'm going to send you an overdubbed video of a scene that could definitely use it if there's no Dragula. So,
fair enough.
Be prepared for that.
All right.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back next week with more Kingsman.
See you guys.